Welcome to The Explainer. I am so thrilled you're here. Today, we're diving into a deeply fascinating psychological reality about the human mind. If you're someone who genuinely enjoys doing things all by yourself, you've probably been told at some point that you need to get out more, right? But we're going to look at why actually enjoying your own company is a massive sign of a highly functioning, remarkably complex mind. So here's the question. Is enjoying being alone a sign of isolation, or is it actually a hidden superpower? Let's be real. Most people are absolutely terrified of being alone. They reach for distractions, constant stimulation, mostly because silence forces them to face their own thoughts. But some minds, they come completely alive in solitude. Psychologists have repeatedly found that people who embrace solitude possess way higher levels of self-awareness and cognitive complexity. We're going to unravel this mystery today, challenge the whole assumption that needing alone time means you're somehow broken, and prove that your brain is actually operating on a surprisingly powerful level.
Okay, let's jump right into part 1, the stigma of silence, society versus psychology. Picture this. It's a Saturday afternoon. Your friends are out at some loud rooftop bar, and you are sitting in a quiet corner of your apartment. Or maybe just on a park bench, letting your mind process at its own pace. And suddenly, this tiny voice asks, "Wait, should I feel bad about this?" But here's the thing. That voice isn't yours. Society assumes you're antisocial, lonely, or struggling to make friends. But the psychological reality? You are likely one of the most mentally sharp and emotionally aware people around. You're not broken. Something in you just works a little differently.
Moving right along to part 2, 6 habits of solitude, the markers of a rare mind.
Habit number 1 is autonomous thinking. When a problem hits, most humans are basically hardwired to outsource their cognitive discomfort. It just feels way easier to text a group chat and get someone else's take rather than wrestle with the uncertainty yourself. But your instinct is different. You sit with the problem first. You look at it from a few different angles, you let yourself get frustrated, you calm down, and you think again. And by doing this, you're building a really strong internal locus of control. You're basically practicing thinking without a safety net, which leads to vastly sharper, much better decisions over time.
Then we have habit number 2, which is all about processing emotions alone. And just to be super clear, this is very different from shutting down or being emotionally unavailable. This is about doing the actual work. People who quietly sit with hard feelings instead of, performing them for an audience, they develop what psychologists call emotional granularity. It means you aren't just upset, you can identify the specific texture of that emotion. This brilliantly illustrates why solitude is so healthy, because that level of specificity is directly linked to better emotional regulation and just better overall mental health.
Habit number 3 brings us to self-authorship. This looks like having these solo rituals that nobody else even knows about. Maybe it's a walk you take the exact same way every week, a specific playlist you only listen to when you're by yourself, or just sitting in silence before the day even starts. Nobody assigned these things to you. You are actively constructing your own inner world rather than waiting for the external world to just hand you one. It demonstrates this really genuine psychological independence. You just don't need external noise to feel okay because, you generate your own signal.
Next up, habit number 4, intellectual independence. When making a massive life decision, like a new job, a relationship, a big move, sure, you might gather a few perspectives, but ultimately, you go somewhere quiet and make the call yourself. You don't need 5 different people to validate it for you. Social psychology has shown for decades that humans have this powerful pull toward conformity, especially when we're uncertain. But you've learned to distinguish between input and instruction. Other people's opinions are just data. They are not your final answer. And honestly, resisting that ancient human instinct is incredibly rare.
Habit number 5 is self-companionship. And this isn't just about tolerating being alone. It's about genuinely enjoying it without feeling the need to justify it to anyone. Solitude doesn't feel like some kind of exile where the quiet is empty. It actually feels full. You've gotten completely comfortable with your own thoughts, your own pace, and even your own weird sense of humor that literally only you find funny. Psychologists actually note that this self-companionship is one of the absolute strongest predictors of long-term psychological well-being. It beats out wealth, achievement, even relationships. Just having that profound ability to be alone and feel completely whole.
And the 6th habit is perhaps the most telling of all, possessing a post-conventional mind. This means you reflect on your own behavior without being prompted. Most people only really reflect when they're forced to, right? Like when something goes wrong or they get called out. But you find yourself at night asking, why did I do that? What was I actually feeling in that moment? You reflect preemptively, quietly, and entirely on your own time. So the absolutely crucial point here is that your moral and cognitive compass is genuinely internal. This represents a fundamentally deeper, much richer relationship with yourself. Now, here is a fascinating bonus insight from the research. If you have these habits, you probably also replay conversations in your head quite a bit. But wait, this isn't obsessive insecurity. It's actually a background operating system running constantly, extracting accuracy and wisdom. While everyone else has just moved on, your mind is still noticing details, connecting dots, and recognizing hidden emotions. Experience alone doesn't create wisdom, reflection creates wisdom. And reflection almost always requires the quiet space of solitude to actually happen.
All right, let's move into part 3, the brain's default mode. Stillness breeds insight.
Some of your best thoughts arrive when nothing is happening. I mean, really think about it. When you're driving, walking, or literally just staring out a window, neuroscientists actually see a massive spike in activity within the brain's default mode network. Far from shutting down, when external demands decrease, your brain becomes highly creative and integrative. Now, society rewards visible productivity, so we naturally assume thinking or reflecting isn't real work. But the truth is, every major breakthrough, every truly meaningful realization first requires stillness before it can ever become insight.
This brings us to part 4, rethinking human connection. Clarity over proximity.
So there's this really common assumption that needing alone time means you just need people less. But that is simply not true. You've just stopped chasing quantity and started valuing quality. Modern society really pushes this illusion of connection, right? More followers, more invitations, constant visibility. But attention and connection are absolutely not the same thing. You can easily walk away from a packed, crowded room feeling completely lonely. Genuine connection is built on understanding, and because you spend time alone, you become a master observer. You're able to separate the noise of what people say from what they actually do, and that allows you to connect with profound intimacy rather than just, superficial popularity.
To achieve this, there's a really fascinating 3-step process you naturally go through. Step 1, tolerate boredom. Most people instantly try to escape boredom by just grabbing their phones. But step 2, if you sit there just a little bit longer, your unstructured mind actually begins generating its own material. Questions start to surface, creativity activates. And then step 3, you consciously direct your attention. In our modern world, which is just filled with algorithms and ads desperate to capture your mind, spending time alone allows you to reclaim your most precious resource, which is your attention, and actually choose your own focus.
Part 5, the power of self-trust, the ultimate foundation.
Now, there is a vital difference here between self-esteem and self-respect. Self-esteem is often incredibly fragile, mostly because it depends on external outcomes like success, praise, and achievement. If those things vanish, well, the esteem vanishes right along with them. Self-respect, on the other hand, grows from keeping promises to yourself, listening to yourself, and spending enough time alone to actually know who you are underneath all the heavy societal expectations. It's a foundation that doesn't just shatter under pressure, because it was built through thousands of honest, solitary conversations with yourself.
Genuine confidence frequently comes from something much simpler: trust. We so often imagine confidence as this performative charisma or loudness, but it is actually the quiet trust that you're gonna be okay, even when absolutely nobody is telling you what to do. It's the trust that your judgment is enough. That kind of sturdy, immovable confidence, that is built in private, in the silence, not up on a stage seeking applause.
And this brilliantly illustrates our ultimate takeaway for today. Intelligence isn't always loud. It isn't just about rapidly solving equations or impressing a big crowd. Intelligence very often looks like a person sitting quietly, thinking deeply, and becoming stronger in ways that nobody else can even see. That invisible strength, that absolute clarity of knowing your actual desires completely separate from absorbed societal noise, that is one of the most powerful psychological advantages a human being can possibly possess.
Thank you so much for joining me on The Explainer today. I really want to leave you with this one thought to carry with you. When the noise of the world finally stops, when the performance ends and there's literally nothing left to prove, who is the person you meet in the silence?